Like that, and it's like, by the way, no one ever died. If you fall down a flight of stairs, it was a murder.
No one. That's the most common motive.
Falls down a flight of
That's
stairs.
the most common motive is like fucking, financial shit.
And it's like I can't believe they think they're gonna get away with it. There's always like, oh, we took out a life insurance policy 2 weeks ago, and then Grandma just fell.
He went to the gun store and the insurance, and then got an insurance policy, and then our grandma had 18 shots in the back of her head.
You say who falls down the stairs, and that literally happened to my grandmother's friend.
Really?
Her lifelong friend. She went to nursing school with her in the 40s. They've known each other since.
What was nursing school back then? It was just like
I don't know how to like keep band-aids away from black people. Just make sure they don't get their hands on them. They'll dirty them up. Back then they reused band-aids.
Yeah, those were black people band-aids.
Yeah.
After white people gotta go.
Yeah.
You sent them to the
but yeah, no, she had known her for like her whole life. It was her best friend, and her best friend was over like visiting at their house, and she had to go upstairs to like go to the bathroom or something. And so she's going up the stairs and like just misses her grasp, and she's like, whoop, whoop. And then in front of my grandma falls backwards and just splits her fucking head open.
In front of her?
Yeah, blood pouring out of her head.
Holy shit.
I was about to make a joke until you said blood pouring out of the head. Now
My grandma luckily doesn't listen to Cumtown, so in front of her friend dying. Oh yeah, it was a fucking nightmare.
That's awful.
Yeah, like she was in the hospital, and then the family was like kind of blaming my grandma and grandpa.
She left out the banana peel, you know?
Yeah. They're like, you just couldn't give up those damn bananas, could you? You're 87 years old. You don't need to eat those bananas all day long.
Have you guys ever seen someone actually slip on a banana peel? It's one of the funniest things on earth.
I don't think I've seen
I've
that.
witnessed it. It was the best thing.
I saw a guy. I was doing that Bethesda Hyatt show, that Kurt Shackelford show. And me and Joe Robinson are out in the lobby talking, and there's like this guy who's like, he's like a big dude. He's a middle-aged dude. He's probably like 6'3", like 300 some pounds, and I just hear this like awful like. That kind of noise.
No.
And me and Joe look over, and they have these like marble stairs with like an edge like this, like a fucking 90-degree edge on each step. And I look over, and this guy's just face down. He looks like he's laying on the stairs. and it like takes a second. We're like, what the fuck? And then we realize he just tripped and went directly. And so I run over to him, and like, I'm like, sir, are you okay? And he's just out cold.
Holy shit.
He's not responsive. And I hold his head and like, go to roll him over. I'm making sure his neck doesn't shift at all. Like I know what the fuck I'm doing, but
it is kind of that is like the classic comedy that the guy's too fat to pull over.
Yeah. Well, I start lifting him, and it's almost like someone like peeling duct tape off something. You just hear the skin in his head is peeling off the step. And there's a deep groove, and blood just starts pouring out. I'm like, okay, whoa, I just like place him back, place him back. And as I'm like placing him back, he like comes to, and he's like, because he's making the sound a guy makes when he's knocked the fuck out, which is that like, when their breathing's all fucked up. And then he comes to, and he's like, he doesn't know where he is and shit. I'm like, do you know what day it is? Blah blah blah. And he like asked his name, and then paramedics came and shit. But it was fucking
Jesus Christ.
It was frightening to see that.
I saw a crazy one once. This is insane. I was like walking just in New York City. I was in 6th grade. I'm walking down the street to get on the bus, and an old lady jumps out of a building and lands probably 5 feet in front of me.
Holy
and
shit.
splat dead. And it was like, that made me think of it, because she just like, your mind plays tricks on you.
That's a way better story.
No, but just the idea that like they're just flat. She was flat down.
I saw a guy that needed 4 stitches, and then like had ice cream later that night.
Well, it's like you think you're in like on a movie set. Your brain's like protecting you from the trauma. Right. So I was just like, oh, I'm in like Punk'd. Yeah, that was a popular show when I was in 6th grade.
Yeah. Still a popular show.
It's great.
So she just fucking did she like explode? Or
no, that's what was so fucked up. It's just she just like it was like splat, and you just and you heard like and she was not instantly dead. I remember she was like oh, and I was like shit. So someone got her a blanket, and I was like, I don't think that's gonna do it. I don't think the blanket's gonna do it. But
and then what happens is a bunch of clowns came in one of those tiny ambulances, and they get the stretcher out, and they put the stretcher upside down. They get tied up in the stretcher.
Well, I remember being. This is the worst part of it. I remember being like, I was young. I was a little traumatized.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember calling a friend of mine, and his mom was kind of crazy, and I was like, oh, I'll talk to him. It'll make me feel better. And I called him and she picked up, and he wasn't home, and she just talked for like 20 minutes straight. She was like one of those self-involved, like awful people, where she was like, and then Martin did this, and then we did this, and then I was like, she's like, how was your day? It was like 20 minutes in the conversation. I was like, I just saw someone die, and she's like, all right, well, Elliot will be back shortly.
Oh my god, dude!
It was like no sympathy.
That's insane. Someone that was like jarring that they were like, yeah, apparently on Star Trek they had this like fantasy room where you could go in.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, what, the holodeck? And they were
Will
like, yeah.
seems like a Trekkie kind of guy.
Well, I know, but it was bizarre. Whoever they fucking were, I'm like, are you fucking with me? I'm like, because I would get it if you were trying to do a bid and it just sort of fell flat. You could say that. And they're like, no, I had no idea. Which seems like there's people that think they're being funny and they say weird shit like that.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck? You know, that's not a joke. You're just lying.
Right.
I work with a guy like that. He's always like, I'm like, well, what time will we be done today? And he'll be like, probably like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh, shit, all right. And he's like,
what a fucking piece of shit. He goes,
Nick, I'm kidding. And it's like, okay, well, half the time it is that fucking late.
Was he the guy that sent the Fry memes, like, to complain about?
No. That guy sucked.
Oh, Fry memes.
Oh, man.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Fry memes and Wonka memes. Those are the best ones.
Yeah,
those together. That's quite a fucking 1-2 combo.
That's the worst part. You become a comedian and you have like more of like a discerning understanding of like what is good, funny, and what is stupid.
Oh,
100%.
And
then you go work a job and people are like, "Wow, I can't believe you're a comedian because you're like not funny at all." And it's like, yeah, I don't want to fucking be here. I don't want to talk to you. I want to get through this fucking shitty day with shitty people. I hate working at Papa John's. I wish I was dead.
Also, I feel like
fucking kill myself in the walk-in. I don't want to be here. And then regular people, like, I mean, like, those guys, they'll joke around, and the way they joke around is like that kind of way, like lying.
Right.
And they think it's funny. I worked with, I knew this guy one time, and there's a guy I lived with who was actually, he did comedy for a while. I'm pretty sure he quit, but he's a nice guy. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but not particularly funny. So he goes, we were on our way to this venue that I had never been to, and he was like, this is actually where they shot that Foot Clan scene in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, it's like a skateboard venue, and it's like, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And he was like, yeah. And so I'm telling people, I'm like, yeah, we're going to this place. Apparently it's where they like shot the, And then we get there, and I'm like, this isn't the place where they shot it. He was like, you believe that? I'm like, why wouldn't I fucking believe that? He's like, I was
not a
joking.
joke.
Yeah,
He's just presented it as a
zero
fact.
fucking context. You just say a thing. I got point over here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually the house Sally Fields grew up in. And you're like, really? I'm like, no, idiot. You thought Sally Fields grew up at some point? She's famous, dude. God, why don't you learn how to fucking take a joke?